to take a look at Andreas Propst's latest expansion to his fantastic card game Elemental Clash, called Elemental Clash Tribes. A nice thing about Elemental Clash Tribes is it also comes with a mini expansion called Elemental Clash Spellcasters. So, in normal fashion, let's take a look at what comes in this expansion pack, and I'll go through some of the rules, especially the new rules with the Spellcasters mini expansion, and I'll show you some of the new cards included. So as you're used to seeing, Elemental Clash is going to come in this standard size Game Crafter box, which is just going to contain all the cards in it, as well as a, in this case, a one-sheet instruction guide just printed out on paper. And actually, this is only going to give you the instructions for the Spellcasters mini expansion, just because there's no new mechanics really that are introduced in the Tribes full expansion. You're going to get a whole ton of cards. I don't know how he gets the artwork of these done so quickly and comes up with all these new cards, but you're going to get about 200, maybe 180, 200 new cards in this expansion, as well as the mini expansion of Spellcasters. Now, the idea behind Tribes is, if you remember in some of the earlier versions of the game, or the earlier expansions and the core set, I should say, there are various creature types, such as mermen and goblins and orcs and so on and so forth. And certain creatures do have special abilities that affect creatures of the same type. So, for example, a merman may have one that says search through your deck and bring out another merman, or all mermen gain +1 damage, so on and so forth. So the idea behind Tribes is that the designer has created a bunch of cards that have to do with many different tribes. So you're going to have several different types of fish creatures in here, merman creatures, goblins, birds. I mean, there's everything in here. And I think I've been calling them mermen. I think they're merfolk, actually. But you get the picture. And then various spells and things that will enhance those, as well as some new types of element stones. And I'm going to go over some of my favorite cards in this deck in a second. But first I want to go over the Spellcasters mini expansion. So basically, the idea behind Spellcasters is that each player in the game is going to select a spellcaster. They're then going to build a deck around the spellcaster and then just play as per normal after that. The advantages of the various spellcasters is that they're going to break some of the game rules. So, for example, looking at Orthar of the Flaming Eye, you can see that top number, which is a 6, is your hand size. So that's going to modify the normal hand size, and in the case of this spellcaster, if he's the one you're using, your hand size is now 6, so you discard down to 6 cards at the end of your turn. The next one down is the draw size. So during the draw phase, you're going to draw 2 cards. And then it also shows that his maximum deck size is 30. And again, that's going to be different from the normal rules. Then he's also going to have a permanent ability. In this case, it says, at the beginning of your standby phase, deal 1 damage to target creature. And then it also has a flip over ability that says, until end of turn, double all damage dealt. Now, that symbol down the bottom, that indicates that's the type of ability that you flip over the card to use. Once you flip over the card, you can no longer use that permanent ability, in this case of dealing 1 damage to target creature. The card's going to be flipped over, you use that kind of strong ability, and then that's the end of that. But still, the hand size and the draw modifiers still maintain. So let's look at some of these guys. The next one we have here is Xeric the Power Hungry. Again, he's going to give you a hand size of 5, you draw 3 cards, and you can build a deck of 40 cards. And creatures you control get +1 attack. And then his flip ability is search your spellbook for 1 card and put it into your hand, shuffle your spellbook afterwards. So that can be a pretty strong ability if you need a specific card. But again, remember, those are one-time use. And just, I kind of showed you this a second ago, but the artwork on these cards is absolutely phenomenal. It looks really nice. Okay, here we have Donavel the Enchantress. Big hand size, but you only draw 1 card in a relatively small deck. Quanticore the Necromancer. I'm not going to read all these abilities for you. You can check them out online or when you purchase your own copy. But I just wanted you to be able to appreciate the time spent on the artwork for these. Atanas the Wise. Memnon the Protector. Thorvald the Dwarven Tinkerer. Collis the Irate. And this is probably my favorite. Prisma of the Many Colors. It's a really neat card. You have a 7-card hand limit, 40-card deck, and basic element stones you control produce energy of every element. Come on, how awesome is that? And search your spellbook for up to 2 element stones and put them into play immediately. Shuffle your spellbook afterwards. What a powerful card. So again, these spellcasters are just another way to play the game. You don't have to use them, but I think it's a neat mini expansion of the game. It does introduce a little bit of variability. Alright, so let's get back to the core set here, or the core expansion, Tribes, and I'm going to show you just some of my favorite cards in here, and I got a bunch of them. So bear with me here, but the first thing we have is a Jupiter Caller. It's a creature. It says play effect, which means it takes effect when this card is put into play. Look at the top 3 cards of your spellbook. Put all creatures with the type Spirit into your hand. Put the rest of the cards under your spellbook in any order. So that's what I mean when a lot of these cards in the Tribes deck are going to benefit their particular tribe. Now we have the Spirit Overlord. Again, all other spirits you control gain +1 attack and +1 defense and have quick attacker. Awesome card. Mars Caller, which is a goblin. Play effect. Look at the top 3 cards of your spellbook. Put all creatures with the type Goblin in your hand. Goblin Champion. Other goblins you control get +1 attack and +1 defense. Whenever a goblin you control deals damage to an opponent, he or she discards 1 card from his or her hand. Alright, now we have one of the new element stones. This is a neutral troll stone, and it produces 1 neutral energy. And at the bottom it says destroy troll stone. Search your spellbook for a troll card, show it to your opponent, shuffle your spellbook, and put the chosen card on top of it. Goblin stone produces 1 neutral energy. Destroy goblin stone, search your spellbook for a goblin card, show it to your opponent, shuffle your spellbook, and put the chosen card on top of it. So you can see, again, how all these cards in the Tribes expansion work together. And you're going to have the same thing here for the Spirit Stone, your Merfolk Stone. Alright, now let's look at some of the spells. So here's Coral Reef. Creatures with type Merfolk, Sea Serpent, Kraken, or Fish get +1 defense and cannot be the target of spells or effects the opponent controls. And this is a permanent effect. Fountain of Health. At the end of your turn, put the topmost card from your archive under your spellbook. Fiery Pact. This has a play effect of deal 7 damage to target player, but when it leaves play, it deals 7 damage to you. Goblin Ambush. Goblins you control get +2 attack until the end of the turn. And finally, Benthic Call. Search your spellbook for any number of Merfolk, Sea Serpent, Fish, or Kraken creatures. Show them to your opponents, then shuffle your spellbook and put the chosen cards on top in any order. So there you go. There's the purpose behind Tribes, some of my favorite cards, and as well as the Spellcaster expansion. So, what do I think about it? Let's see. There's not really a heck of a lot more for me to say about Elemental Clash that I haven't already said already. It really is one of my favorite 2-player card games because of the niche that it fills in the collectible card gaming genre, but without being a collectible card game. It's an expandable card game where when a new expansion comes out, and the designer's been putting them out very quickly, at least once every quarter, you just buy that pack and you already have all the cards that you need. The game's very easy to get into. As you go from expansion to expansion, it kind of introduces some new topics and some new abilities and spells very gradually, so you are not overwhelmed. And it's really a fun game for you and your friends to play, especially in a tournament style or multiple games in a row. I really like the Spellcaster mini expansion because now you have an additional way that you can play, and the way I like to use it is that you can pick a Spellcaster right there. You have a big old pile of cards and either randomly deal one out or bid for them, or there's all sorts of different variants that I've used. And then you build a deck right then and there, and then you play with it, and then maybe you can refine the deck over time, and there's all sorts of fun things you can do. So, Spellcaster expansion is a lot of fun, but it's not necessary, and it's not something that I'm going to play with all the time, but it's a good variant if you want to throw a twist into the game. The Tribes expansion as a whole is excellent. Lots of new cards, lots of new artwork, and lots of ways for things to interact with not only the Tribes expansion, but there's a lot of these creatures in all the previous expansions in the core set. So all of it is just going to come together and work beautifully together. So you already know how I feel about Elemental Clash. It's a great game. I definitely suggest you go to the Game Crafter rather, and pick yourself up a copy of the core set and some of the expansions. So appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.